Hey, welcome to the Shift Show. I'm Christopher McClure, and this is where we bring spirit to bear on trending issues. So, um, the title of today's show is Akashic Memory, and I'm going to be revealing a a method that I'm working on. It's a memory palace. If you're familiar with that term, if you're not, I'll explain that in just a bit. Um, but what I want to like kind of why memory palace? What's the need? What is the problem that's being that that I'm trying to fix? And the problem is I think we're all experiencing this. I certainly am, and it's been a dilemma for me for the it's kind of come to a head in the last year, um, specifically in the last few months, which is that how do I remember everything that I want to remember, and not only remember it, but be able to implement it if it's something that needs to be done. With there's an increasing amount of data coming to us, and because of things like aging and electromagnetic pollution and chemical things and genetics, our memories are becoming worse. Basically, we're losing our short-term memory and ability, and it's I think it's important to realize that there is a by the developments in technology, and the fact that a lot of people in the world have a smartphone, you know, and that just by a few you touches of the finger, or speaking into the phone, you can retrieve information just like that. Um, it's like what we're telling our minds, our memory, you know, is that, oh well, you don't really need to remember things anymore. But the thing is that yeah, even though the data is at our fingertips, the organization of that is not. So it's more like we're becoming there's a barrage of data, and there's no organization around it. And so that's that's the need that I'm trying to meet in myself with what I'm going to share, and I believe that that's true for a lot of people. Uh, so what what I'm going to be sharing today is actually I think I'll go ahead and start my screen share. So this is this figure here, which I created, is this is a part of what I call Akashic memory. And there's a few things going on here. Um, one of the most kind of overview things that are going on here is there's this vertical structure, and then there's this there's circular structure, right? And so in in the world of anthropology and uh, spirit metaphysics, this is called a hoop and a tree, and it's there's a story that comes from the Lakota Indian tradition. Black Elk had he went to the top of a mountain and had this vision where he he got connected with heaven through this vertical axis, and he could experience all the activity of creation around us. Essentially, that's what happened. Um, so so we have the hoop and the tree, and then just to name these things, we have a six-pointed star, which is, most people know that as the Star of David, a Hebrew symbol, but it's a lot more than that. It's also called the interlacing triangles. It's a symbol of of heaven and earth, right? Heaven is this triangle pointing upward. Earth is this triangle pointing downward, and they're joined. We're joining heaven and earth, and so this actually is the symbol of the heart chakra, which, if you know about the body centers and there's seven of them in the traditional configuration. There's seven of them, and there's three above. There's the heart in the middle, and there's three above that and three below. So the heart joins it together. The other reason why I like the six-pointed star is because it's excuse me, it's a protection against dark forces. One of the things that dark forces uh, like to do, one of the ways that they manipulate reality is they'll take a symbol, like for instance the pentagram, the five-pointed star, and they'll turn it upside down, and then that it inverts the energy, and it's used for other purposes that other than benefiting all. Well, the thing is, with a six-pointed star, if you turn this upside down, it's still a six-pointed star. You can't invert this, and so that's one of the reasons why I use the six-pointed star. Okay, so I'm going to just name these. This figure right here is, if you're not familiar, this is called the Enneagram, and there is, here you can see there's a triangle here, and there's the apex of it is right back here. You can't see it because of the pole, but when you count the points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 points, and those 9 points are. This is an ancient geometric structure that what's said about it is that any complete system of knowledge can fit within this configuration. And the what's also said about it is that each one of these points is like a face of God. So it's like the 9 faces of God. There's correlation with the Kabbalah with this 10 Sephiroth. And the way I look at it is that each one of these points is a facet of the diamond of um, of of human consciousness. And when I say human consciousness, I mean truly hue, meaning divine. It's the Egyptian word for divine, and man. That humans are a combination of mammal and divinity, and that diamond is all of that. And these points are facets of that diamond. So then we continue down the pole, and then down here we see this figure, which looks a little bit like this. Well, it is very similar. This is a three-dimensional version of this. It's called a star tetrahedron, and it's also called a Merkaba. And just to kind of compare these two, the six-pointed star, of course, has 6 sides, right? It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, the Merkaba, you can't see them all here, has 24 sides. And if you're familiar with the various alphabets of the world, you will know that the Greek alphabet actually is 24 letters. So I've made a correlation between the Greek alphabet and the sides of this Merkaba. So that's the layout. That's what we've got there. That's what we're working with. And what's something very significant in terms of this is that this system that I'm showing from an overview, there is an input, an inputting, and then there's an inflowing. In other words, um, this figure is a interface between form and formlessness, or between matter and spirit. And so what I'm going to show you today is the inputting part of that, the memory palace part of that, where the human, me, is putting information that I deem important into the system, where it can be found and retrieved. But there is another side of it that I'm still working on, which is that there's an inflowing of energy from the universe. And so I'm going to just jump into that right now. So the six-pointed star, the way that I'm using it in this method is I'm kind of turning this. You can see this is like a two-dimensional plane facing, facing us. Well, what I do with the star in a sense is I turn it and make it flat, and then the star is actually inside of this tube, which is kind of like our spine. All right, so the star has now become the star, which is a visualization um, engine, and so we're bringing that visualization energy into the spine, it's becoming three-dimensional. And and when you associate it with elements such as sensation or pulse or breath, what you get is there's an influx of spirit into the system, into my system, or your system if you're doing this. And I guess I want to just say right now, make a little kind of like disclaimer that you need to be the captain of your own ship, and you need to decide whether this system is useful to you, if it's beneficial to you, if it's healthy for you. So yeah, that's your decision, and I'm just sharing information with you and making no claims. In fact, that I'm pretty. This is pretty much a works in progress, and I'm just sharing it with you as I'm doing it. So there is this influx of spirit, but if you've heard of the term Indra's web or Indra's net, it's like there's spirit is like a sort of a physicalization of spirit is this web of energy that's running throughout the universe, like a web, like a spider web, and each node in that in that web is it's like a hologram of the whole. So every node is reflecting everything else, and that's a lot of information. And what I've experienced is that when I bring spirit infuse spirit into my system, it can create a kind of muddledness, because there's unless there is a way of organizing that information and sending that information into the right places, into the places that that at least I can make sense of them. And that's what that's what the Enneagram does here. So the spirit coming in it's coming in. If you've heard this term, it's called the Akashic records. It's like this grid of memory in the universe, and I'm not sure if it's the same thing as Indra's web, or if there's an interface between the two, but it's a lot of information, and if there, like I said, if there's not a way of organizing and distributing it, then it can create kind of a muddledness, and it's kind of counterproductive. So that's where the Enneagram comes in. So the Enneagram, like I've said, is it's it's a way of containing information. And one of the ways that I've sort of interpreted these 9 points is with what I call aspects of life. Um, so, point one, this is point one, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Point one is health, 2 is relationship, 3 is business, 4 is creativity, 5 is spirituality, 6 is advocacy, 7 is recreation, 8 is learning, and 9 is dreaming, the whole experience of dreams. And then the middle point is miscellaneous. So anything that really doesn't fit into those categories, or anything that, like you've got like a daily list of things you want to remember, goes into the middle point. So now the thing is what I want to say here is that, say, creativity, this point, creativity is like, for me, I play music, I do art, I write, I dance, and I do some drama. So there's a lot of activity, a lot of creative expression that's happening for me. So this point needs to be organized a little more. It needs to have another enneagram in this point, and that certainly can happen. That within any of these points there can be nested enneagrams to further categorize and distribute the energy to where it needs to go, where it needs to go to be remembered, and where it needs to go to be organized. So implementation is an easy thing. Okay, so say there's something I just, there's something that I thought, oh, I want to do. I'll give you an example. I was so I work with the tarot, and I'm actually, this is actually part of the inflowing part of it. I'm working with a structure that has 22 points, which is the you probably know that's the Hebrew alphabet, but it's also the major arcana in the tarot deck. And the tarot is a pretty, deep, comprehensive thing. The only thing is that there's different interpretations regarding the 8th card and the 11th card. And one is strength and one is balance, and it's switched between systems. I have 2 decks that have actually, the opposite interpretation regarding that. So I wanted to find out, I wanted to look and remember to look and see, to do that. And the deck that I wanted to look in was a deck that was created by a man named Osho. And so this process of inputting is that you turn something that you want to remember into an image. So I just turned that into an image of him, of Osho. He's kind of like a dark-skinned man, but he died, but he has got long silver, white hair. So I had this image of Osho. Now this is where the Merkaba comes in. So that was just kind of a, like a laundry list, so to speak, kind of thing that I wanted to do. So I put it in miscellaneous. But where does it go when it gets into miscellaneous? I didn't necessarily need it to be in a further kind of categorization. I needed to just go to a place where I could remember it. And that's where one of the main memory methods, the memory palace method, comes into play. And it's actually, formally called the method of loci, which is this kind of work was done by the Greeks, And that's what it was called, the method of loci. And what the method of loci is that um, you choose some kind of territory. And it could be, like it could be your bedroom, for instance. And there's various things in your bedroom. If you go around the walls of your bedroom, there's like various things, and there's an order to those things. Um, and those things you can picture as objects. They're actually, you can visualize them as objects. Well, I didn't want to necessarily create like a different method of loci for each one of these points, or for the many different um, nested enneagram points. I wanted one method of loci, and so I decided to use the Merkaba. And so why did I choose the Merkaba? Well, one reason I chose the Merkaba is because they say that the human energy field is a Merkaba. And to be honest, I don't quite understand that, but I do work with the Merkaba, and I feel like it is a vehicle of manifestation. That when you, like I was saying here, when you um, follow the sides of the six-pointed star, there's a certain kind of like energizing, and you bring that into the spine. That's like it's a vehicle for for focusing energy. And the Merkaba is the same thing, except it's three-dimensional, which means that the six-pointed star is kind of bringing energy on a spirit level, but the Merkaba is sort of grounding energy into matter. And so there's I won't show you the visual. Well, actually, I could show you the visuals right here. So if you look at the here we go. If we go, if you look at, this is kind of the inner lines of the. So you got 1, 2, 3, right, and you got 4, 5, 6, and then you got 7. Sorry, you got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12, and then you got 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So those are the sides of the of the Merkaba, and there's a certain ordering there that I've created, which is basically replicating the six-pointed star, moving through this more three-dimensional structure. Well, if what I've done is I've associated those with the letters of the Greek alphabet. So it would be alpha, beta, gamma, and then delta, epsilon, zeta, and then eta, theta, iota, and then kappa, llama, mu, and then, did I skip one here? Yeah, nu, nu, xi, omicron, and and pi, rho, sigma, and then there's tau, epsilon, phi, and then chi, psi, omega. So going back to, hold on a sec here, I've got this, I need to move this out of the way. Okay, so going back to this, so I would put, and what I've done is I've turned, and I'm in the process of doing this, I'm just working this out today, is I've turned each one of those Greek letters into an image. And so the first one, alpha, they say what alpha, one of the things it signifies is God. So when I think of God, I just, the first thing that comes to mind is the traditional, the white guy with long white hair and the long white robe. Okay, so that's God. So what I'm doing is I'm putting that image of Osho with that image of God. So there's basically two guys that kind of look the same, except one's dark skinned and one's white skinned. And so that is and they're um, maybe they're shaking hands. And that's my memory device for remembering to look into the card deck. And then I would, of course, the next thing, if I remembered that I wanted to get carrots from the grocery store, I would I would put carrots um, with beta, right? And beta is actually what's sort of attributed to beta is the devil. Um, so there's the traditional image of the devil with the horns and the wings and the long tail. Um, so I'm giving a carrot to the devil, and the devil's chewing on this carrot. So that's my memory device for remembering for that next node of um, of the of this memory palace. And because I know I have already have this order memorized, the order that I go, I go alpha, beta, gamma, and then I go to delta, epsilon, zeta. I can just follow along, and and maybe there's some kind of story there that will help me remember it. So that is the inputting uh, side of this Akashic memory, and that's, like I said, that's all I'm going to do today. But basically, when you put an image with an image within a structure, then it becomes like scenes in a movie, and like I said, that can create a story. But those scenes then become easy to remember, and that is the way of organizing. So then to take it, that was just kind of a laundry list kind of thing. So say there's in business, there's within business there is the category of I do this thing called business assisting, and that would be one point on a nested enneagram. And say I wanted to remember to call one of my clients. And so I would put her image in the Merkaba. So I would put her image talking to God, and that would remind me, and maybe um, and maybe they would be actually on the phone. That God would have a phone held up, and my client would have a phone held up. So then that information becomes more, you can see, more organized. And, so I'm going to stop my screen share, and so that's basically the what Akashic. That's the inputting the inputting side of Akashic memory. And what I am continuing to work on by using and I'm not sure about this, but there's pretty good evidence to believe that there's going to be a different structure for the inflow, and that structure is actually the Tibetan eye chart, which has many, many, many facets and meaning associated where that information can flow in. But that's for another video, and so I appreciate you listening today, and please leave any comments if any of this was helpful. And once again, I'm Christopher McClure, and this has been Welcome to the Shift Show, Akashic Memory.